for those that can't attend. Let me get back to share. Get back to where we were. All right. So I'm recording, like I promised, for those that aren't able to actually attend. So let's move on to the first piece. There we go. We're going to start with your database. This is what you start on day one, your database. People love that, right? Who has an active database right now? Hey, Helen. We have other people joining us. Hi. I'm sorry, my computer made me incognito, but y'all don't need to see my mugshot anyway, so just pay attention to the presentation. So if you don't mind, I am going to welcome comments and input, but if you're not speaking, please mute, because otherwise we'll get a lot of feedback, and I'm trying to record this for those that signed up that can't actually attend. So your database is your business plan, ladies and gentlemen. That is the foundation, that is the slab to your real estate business. So you start to fill it with people that you know and that like and trust you. So it doesn't matter. Everybody's like, well, you know, particularly for those of us in the North Florida market, guys, please mute. I hear a lot of feedback. Use your little mute button at the bottom. Thank you, thank you. So everybody's going to know 8 agents or 18 other agents freaking if you're in the Jacksonville market or what have you. So it doesn't matter. The point of your database is so that you're top of mind with the people that know you, so they remember you when it's time for them to list or sell a home, or even just to refer you out. So that's what this is all about. So
Thoughtless database.
So your database. So does everybody use one? Well, let's talk about what it's for. You've got your grid in the middle. So there's all types of databases, and I think that what I hear most often as a real estate educator, trainer, and coach is, well, I just moved here. I don't know that many people. I don't want to bother my friends. Well, that's hogwash. So I'm just here to tell you that. So the 4 rules of your database. First of all, your database your business will be in direct proportion to the size of your database. So how big is your current database? For some of you, the answer is 0. We know this, right? So ideally, what you'll want to do when you get started in real estate is within your first 30 days, have a database truly of a minimum of 200 people, because your business will be in direct proportion to the size of your database. And you should be receiving a 5% return on your database annually if you're actually using it to get business. And so we'll talk about that. So over on the left, can everybody see the screen? Your database rules. First step is, we just talked about, have one. Then communicate with it systematically. What in the world does that mean? So that means you're going to have to create a drip campaign for starters. Everybody know what that is? So that's typically where you've got them on an email campaign where you systematically send them emails. Maybe it's on your new listings, maybe it's market stats, maybe it's how to, spring tips for those of us in Florida, which I think most of us on here are. Maybe it's hurricane preparedness. Maybe it's having them check their insurance policy to make sure they have adequate insurance for the hurricane season. So it's whatever you do to keep top of mind with emails. However, feeding your database is more than just bombarding them with emails. That's the first way for them to block us, right? So a drip campaign also entails, and keeping in touch with your database, often perhaps even like a 36 touch program. What does that mean? So emails, what I consider that just your safety net. At least you're sending emails to people. On top of that, there's all types of other ways to prospect, which is a whole nother class in and of itself. But things like holding past customer or client appreciation events, even if there's just your friends, just to get in front of them face to face. It's pop buys. A lot of people are doing that these days, where it's either past customers, or if you're new in the business, maybe it's stopping by your friends with just cute little nuggets. For instance, 4th of July was a couple of months ago. Maybe it's dropping off, hey guys, I need you to mute please. You're like a backup.
Fucking idiot.
Background. Thank you. So pop-bys are dropped by people with little gifts and your business card, literally knocking on their door. Guys, I need everybody to put the mute on. Thank you. So you want to also feed your database daily. That means you're going to have to enter in new people every day. You're going to have to set aside time for that. And then, of course, the other piece to your database is you have to service all your leads that come in. So that's the lead follow-up. You want to be a service provider. We're not here to sell people and force them to use us, right? So that's what your database is. It's your system management of the people that you know. So there's also, on the right-hand side of your screen, there are two types of businesses when you're in real estate. I bet nobody ever told you that, did they? You're going to have both a real estate business and a lead generation business. Bada bing, bada bing. Because the point is, you can't have a real estate business until you have a lead generation business, because there is no real estate sales until you have the people, right? So you're actually in two businesses. Your lead generation business is what funds your real estate business. So back to that, how many people, for those of you that have just jumped on, my recommendation is within your first 30 days of real estate. So if you're a little behind the times, this would be a great goal commitment for the next 30 days. Have at least 30 people in your, 200 people in your database. That should happen within the first 30 days of joining a real estate company. And then you feed it daily, as we said. So the goal is to add 10 people a day on a 5-day work week, folks. And my business plan will give you two weeks of vacation, take off federal holidays, and work a 5-day work week. So that's how you're going to run the numbers. But they say the average person knows a minimum of 288 people on a first name basis. So you probably know people you don't realize you know. And I have a worksheet on that in different trainings. People like the service providers. Look in our little circle here in the middle. You've got your MET group. So who are your METs? Your METs are the people that you really, really know. Those are your first at least 288 you're going to put in your database. People that truly know you in real life by first name, know you, they like you, your friends, people you do business with. So that's step outside to the middle circle, your allied resources. Maybe that's your dentist. Maybe that's your massage therapist. Maybe that's your personal trainer. You got to think outside the box. The other thing I tell people is, whoever you are writing a check to or spending money with, they need to be sending business back to you. Your air conditioner maintenance person, your lawn care person, your termite bond person, all those service providers, particularly for your home, they need to be sending business back to you. So you need to make nice with them as well. So the METs are people that you really, really know. That's where you focus, because you really want your real estate to be a referral-based business, right? Because that's working smarter, not harder. If you're constantly out there hitting the pavement, begging for business from strangers, you're going to get burned out. This I know. So you've got your METs, then you've got your not METs, and you want to go out and meet the not METs and turn them into METs over time. So who is our not METs group? Our not METs are all the people that we accumulate through prospecting things that we know and learn about in real estate, such as open houses, calling for sell by owners, calling expireds. All this, anybody out there is a not MET if they're not in our current world. Everybody agree? So your point is, start with your foundation of METs and love on them. And the other thing I recommend to folks is go and identify the top 30 or 50 people that you think will be your ambassadors for your fan club, as I call it. Who are the people that are just, whether they have a housing need or not, they love you, they believe in you, they're going to send people to you. So start thinking about who those people are, and those are going to be the 20% of the people that you love on the most. Because everything we do in life, particularly in business, right, is the 80-20 rule. Just as we know, there's a gazillion realtors here in the Jacksonville market. We have, honestly, over 10,000 agents. I'm sure you guys know that. But don't let that freak you out. Only 20% of the agents are doing, I believe it's $1.7 million of business or more. That means the others have a full-time job, or they've tried real estate and they can't keep food on the table with it. So same thing with your building your database. The 20 people or the 30 or 50 people are the ones you're going to love on the most. Focus on the 20% that are going to feed you. Everybody cool? So moving on. This is one of my faves, guys. Lead with revenue, not expenses. When you start real estate, for those of you that have already been in it for a while, which I think is most of us on here, we get freaking bombarded with freaking telemarketing calls, and now the freaking telemarketing texts and all the emails, people wanting to sell us the next best generation system, right? And I promise you, if you just use my system, if you buy my leads, you are guaranteed 12 listings a month, right? We get all that nonsense. Those are the shiny objects in our world, peeps. We don't need to spend money to create business. I know everybody says, well, you have to have money to make money. And that's not true for real estate, I promise you. I do not spend any money on marketing. My business model, and everybody is different, mine is derived from social media. All of my real estate business derives either from a friend in real life or a friend in real life who reaches out via social media or a stranger on social media. So I'm not spending money to have people work with me, other than every once in a while, maybe a sponsored ad. So I don't want you buying the lead generation system or buying the next best marketing system and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to use Zillow as an example, just because, you know, they're out there for all of us. For those of you that are buying leads, so I'm not judging anybody, but I want those of you who are buying leads, or maybe you've bought this fancy system, or maybe you've bought a dialer to call for sale by owners and expireds. So I'm not saying any of this is wrong. I'm just saying it is almost September 2019. We're getting ready to roll into the last quarter of the year, which is traditionally for any year the slowest. And for those of you who haven't been doing this for a while, next year is an election year. So guess what's going to happen, folks? It's going to get really, really quiet in our business, because there's a lot of jobs out there in our nation that are dependent on whoever's in office. We have state employees, we have federal employees, and they don't know if they're going to have a job after November 2020. So beginning January 2021, they don't know what's going to happen in their world, depending on who's going to be in office in their local area up to the feds. So they're going to tighten up on their spending over the next 18 months. I promise you that's going to happen. So you need to start looking at your expenses so far this year and what you can cut back on. So take a look at what you're spending on those dialers, on those lead generation systems like Zillow Leads. What are you spending? Are you spending $400 a month? Are you spending $800 a month? And take a look at your rate of return. That's the important piece. So if you're spending, let's just say $100 a month on Zillow Leads, you should be getting a 4-to-1 return on your investment, whether it's on leads or your fancy CRM or your fancy social media posting system that you bought into, whatever it is. If you're spending $100 a month, you should be getting a return of at least $400 a month. So for example, if you're spending $1,000 a month on Zillow Leads, you should be getting a closing every month worth at least $4,000 gross income. So that's a way to start looking at what are you really spending. Ideally, I would love for everybody in your first year or two not to spend any money on any systems other than, I do believe in obviously a CRM if your broker doesn't provide that. I do believe in a website, but don't go spending money on these shiny objects, as we call them. So what you do is after the second year, start putting aside about 10% of your net commission that you receive so that you can invest it back into marketing. But your first 2 years, guys, it's all about making the connections and networking and building those relationships with people that you know. So next, here's a little bit, moving right along that. This is kind of just to recap what I've just been saying for the last 5 minutes. The shiny objects, don't go buy the fancy smancy. There's something new every day that you're going to get. I actually delete all those emails and unsubscribe. I don't need their fancy schmancy stuff. I've been doing this for a while. And you guys don't either, I promise you. So, number 3, lead generation. What in the world do I mean by 2 to 3 hours per day? So let's break it down for you. I don't mean you freaking have to be on the phone for 3 hours a day. Who in the world wants to do that? I'm here with my water right now, like 10 minutes into our conversation here, and I've already got a drive-through. I am not going to be on the phone calling people with a dialer or calling random strangers for some owners. Hey guys, please mute yourselves. I'm hearing somebody's doing something in the background. So what this means, lead generation, the 3 hours, let me break that down for you. You got it over on the left. The 30 minutes is your prep. You've got to know, and ideally I would rather you do that 30 minutes the evening before or the day before at the end of your business day. Who are you going to contact during your lead generation time? You don't just get up, here it is Thursday morning, and so we know Friday's coming, so I hope we know by the end of today what our day looks like tomorrow. Are you just sitting around hoping, that somebody calls you, you're putting a random post on Facebook, hoping somebody responds? I hope not. So take that 30 minutes of prep time and determine who you're going to call. And of course, prospecting and who to call, that's a whole nother topic. But generally speaking, if you're talking about your time blocking for lead gen, 30 minutes of figuring out who you're going to call, have your call sheet, the numbers, whatever. And I've been doing this for 21 years. I'm here to tell you, I am not that cold call chick. I don't like it. Some of you love it, and that's totally cool. That's awesome. For those of us that don't like it, there are many other ways to prospect, in my opinion, and get leads. I've already shared that most of mine comes from social media. That's not just, because I'm talking about the meal that I had last night. That is targeted and specific posts, not necessarily paid posts, with a call to action, something that solicits engagement. So you guys know, if you're here in the Jax Beach area, we've got the new Margaritaville Hotel coming up. They've just announced we're getting this super cool new retail center at Jax Beach. They're just redoing our landscape. So articles like that from the media about all these new things popping up in your area, if there's a new business popping up, maybe there's just a new cupcake place that popped up in your area, a small business owner. So maybe you post an article about that and you have a little call to action, or you have a little message that says, hey, what's your favorite, flavor of cupcake? And call me if, you want information on this new place. Or maybe you can even go a step further and interview that local business owner and offer to give out a coupon. So you have to have a call to action button on your video or your post so that they message you directly to get it. So you've got to be purposeful about how you're lead generating. Lead generation is not necessarily just cold call and say, hey, are you looking to sell your house? That's old school way. Lead generation, in a nutshell, the definition is just simply having a meaningful two-way conversation about real estate. So you don't have to go, and I think this has happened to all of us, you go accept somebody's friend request on Facebook, or gosh, LinkedIn just scares the bejeebies out of me. The minute you accept their request, their connection, right? Whoosh, you get the private email or the private message. Hey, thanks for the connection. I sell such and such and such and such. Would you like to be a part of it? And not to be ugly to those of you that have a side business in MLMs, but they're famous for doing that. And there are some real estate companies famous for doing that to recruit you in as well. So don't be that person, guys. The way I start out is I will send, or if somebody's posted that they just got a job promotion or they just changed careers or something like that, go and congratulate them. Likewise, private message. What I'm doing a lot is, Facebook gives you the upcoming birthdays for the freaking week, or however far out you want to go. I don't put a little happy birthday post on Facebook like that blends in with all the 300. I send them a private message, and you can use a GIF or GIF or however you pronounce it. Somebody correct me. Or you can give them a happy birthday song through Spotify for free. And then that just starts it out. Or you say, hey, how are you doing? You don't say, hey, I need some new listings. How can you help me? Just start a conversation and then ask how things are going at work. And then you can get around to say, hey, just don't forget, real estate's my full-time career. It's what I love to do. I'd love to help somebody. So you just start with the reaching out first like a normal person and start the conversation. And while we're talking about that, there's an acronym that you can use if you want to know, how is it can be awkward, right, to break the ice and do that. So think about FORD, F-O-R-D, and that's not the car. That stands for family, occupation, recreation, or dreams. So if you're trying to reach out to somebody and you don't know how to start that contact through social media or even at a networking event, think about those four things: about their family, about their job, about what they like to do for fun, or something about their dreams, what if they're about to retire, what is that going to look like? And that's how you initiate and do, the icebreaker to get into the real estate conversation. So your lead generation is all about those meaningful two-way conversations. It's not sending out a random email and hoping like you send out 200, hoping 8 people respond back. It is a two-way conversation about real estate. So ideally, you will want to have at least 10 of those a day, and that's like the bare minimum. However, I'm trying to say that with the market changing a little bit, truly I want to recommend that you do at least 20. And the point is, since lead generation is the first step to creating your real estate business, if you don't have any real estate business, why are you just going to spend 3 hours reaching out? Why don't you just spend the day doing it until you get an appointment? The goal of lead generation is not to contact people and just say, hey, I called my 10 today. I'm going to go to the movies, or I'm going to go surfing now. The goal of lead generation is to create an appointment to get real estate business. Agreed? So within those 3 hours, after you've made your appointment, the other piece of this time blocking is making sure, if you don't already have these contacts in your database, that you add them to it. And then here's the piece that a lot of people don't even think about anymore in 2019. Write them a handwritten note. And what the experts say is it doesn't have to be branded. It doesn't have to have your logo on it. What they say is a generic blank card, and just say, hey, Susie, so great catching up with you today, and mail it. People love snail mail these days, guys, because they're, all they're getting is crap. I go to my mailbox every few days, and I look and I turn around and put it right back in the trash can. So why don't you give them something of value and give them a sweet little 2-sentence note? So that's what your 3 hours is: the prep, the calls, the database, and the follow-up notes. So moving on. Number 4, find an accountability partner or a coach. So what do I mean by that? When you hear the word accountability, what comes to mind? Anyone? Good stuff, bad stuff? You guys are all muted, so nobody's going to play with me now. So accountability is just somebody that's helping you stay on your roadmap, right? Helping you get to where you want to go. No one succeeds alone. So over on the left, we say you are the average of the 5 people that you associate with. And guys, that is so true. So that doesn't mean you have to go and hang out, that you have to cut off your friends because, they're just not making the kind of income you want to make. However, I do want you to think about that, not cutting them off, but I want you to start associating with people, like in our first slide with Tony Robbins, that are doing the things that you want to do. Who are your mentors? Who are the people in your local market that you admire, so that you can start associating with them and learn from them, whether it's in your business or not. So start thinking about that, because you become the average of the 5 people you associate with. That is a true statement. And then over on the right on our slide, we have the 2 evils or boredom, which I'm not really concerned about because real estate isn't always sexy, right? But isolation, I want you to stay engaged. Whether, social media is one way, but I want you to stay engaged with the events happening in your brokerage, whomever you're affiliated with. That includes the socials, that includes trainings. Maybe you do a small masterminds group, and maybe you start that. But most of us work from home, I believe. So don't isolate yourself at home and just make your business world just your dining room table like I do, and you never associate with the people in your office. That's the first way to fail. So please keep that in mind. So moving on, number 5. Define your standards and systems. What do I mean? So this is where I failed early in my career, and I think a lot of folks want to do this as well. We are so eager to get business, right, that we will take anybody that calls us, some random, call from Zillow or Realtor.com or from our website, and we want to make sure that we snag them and they're our first buyer, and we want to work with them. And you will burn yourself out very quickly doing that. In fact, statistics say, for many, many reasons, all these 19 things that we're talking about that don't get done, agents it's 80% of agents get out of the real estate business within the first 2 years, nationally speaking. That's an NAR statistic. So you're going to have to define your standards and your systems. So you teach people how to treat you down at the bottom. It's so often we're like, oh, yeah, I'd love to work with you. I have open availability this week. Just let me know when you want to go see that house. Guys, please don't do that. What we're supposed to do is time blocking, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, is teach people how to treat us, right? So what you allow for yourself is what you're willing to accept from others. So you have to early on set your boundaries and expectations and communicate the way you work to people. If somebody's emailing you or texting you from Zillow at 1 a.m. and you happen to be up and reading it and you respond back, what kind of standards does that set to people? That's telling them that your sleep isn't important, that you're at their beck and call. And so I don't want you to do that. You are a business professional creating your own business, and you are the CEO of your own business. So you have to determine what your business hours are. And if you want to take Sundays off, if that's your spiritual worship day, if that's your family day, if that's your beach day, that's your business. Make no apologies for that. You don't go posting all over to your customers, hey, that's my beach day. That's more important than my appointment with you. But when you have your first meeting with them at the listing presentation or buyer consultation, let them know, hey, my work hours are, and I do this, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. If it's, if I'm in the middle of negotiating a contract, obviously that stretches out a little bit, but these are my work hours. So if you email me at 8 o'clock at night, my phone's probably already on the charger, and I promise you I'll get back to you tomorrow. So you've got to communicate your work availability to your customers. And then on that note, as we talk about time management in just a minute, that also means that you don't say, hey, yeah, when do you want to look at that house? We always give, and customer, by the way, if you're a transaction broker, if that's how you operate, the word is customer. And if you are a single agent in Florida, then you're allowed to say client. So whether you're working with your customer or your client, the rule is that you give them 2 appointment availabilities, not, hey, my week is wide open. So I want you to think about that, guys. Moving on. Everybody still awake? No? Well, the good news is, remember, I'm recording this, so you'll be able to take notes and go through it again later. So what in the world is an MVVBP? Any ideas? It is your mission, your value, your vision, your beliefs, and your perspective. No agent thinks about doing this. So that's something that you can do with your accountability partner, such as a coach, your mentor, your broker, sales manager, whomever. But this is where you should really start, because how are you going to be able to set yourself apart from, again, in the Jacksonville area, the other freaking 10,000 agents that we have, if you don't even know your own value? So you've got to spend some time thinking about that. What is your mission statement in real estate? What is it specifically that you want to do to serve buyers and sellers? And then your vision. What is your overall big picture that you have? What is your value system and your beliefs? Because you want to work with people that are like-minded. So I don't mean, we're not talking about breaking housing violations and discriminatory stuff. What I'm talking about is people who will respect your time. First of all, if you've set your standards that we just talked about and your expectations, work with people who are professionals as well, who respect time management, that kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about in creating your vision and your values and attracting those people into your life. You don't want some random stranger on social media who's going to suck the life out of you every time they see a new listing on Zillow, correct? So these are big picture things that you have to think about that no other broker is going to tell you to do. Think about who you are, what you bring to the table, and then once you figure that out, you can figure out how to communicate that to your customers to show how you bring them value versus the other 10,000 agents out there. So one thing you can do to help you maybe get some more clarity on this is there is a video on YouTube by Simon Sinek called The Golden Circle. So if you haven't seen that, maybe you want to take a note to do that. Let's move on. Oh, social media. So we are not going to land here for long because this could be like a whole week's class, right? I just want to point out a couple of things because there are some things that are just personal pet peeves to me as I try to help train and coach agents. On your business page that you create, please don't go and friend request every other agent in your brokerage in your local area. Those are your competition. The purpose of social media for your business is to go get buyers and sellers, right? So you got to figure out who your audience is. So that's where you're going to learn how to create content, is first figure out who am I trying to get in touch with. It's not other agents. Those agents are your competition. I don't want local agents liking my business page. I want them liking my coaching page, but not my real estate page. I only want people who are going to buy a house with me, sell a house with me, or send me a referral looking at my broker associate real estate page. So that's something I want you guys to think about too. So the rule of thumb, and again, social media, again, we could talk about this all month, so I just want to touch on a couple things. But one of the rules is, of course, always remain authentic. So for every personal post, if it's your funny little kitty cat picture or your kid's first day of school or whatever, for every 4, just post one business thing. And please don't make it just, the closing you had, just the new listing you had, that's what I call the static post, where you have your real estate sign. Hey, I'm in real estate. I'm Christine Williams. Call 555-122-2222. I'm ready for another sale. Who do you know? Guys, how many of those do we see every day bleed through our feeds, right? So don't be that person. Do something a little original. So that's all I'll say on that. We'll talk about that a whole nother day. Let's move on to number 8. Learning-based and action-focused. So a couple little comments on this. I do want you to go to training. That will help separate you from the other agents out there, because hopefully some of you or most of you have had transactions by now. So we already know the lack of professionalism and training that we're dealing with, because so many times we're having to do the agent on the other side their job too, right? Because they don't know what the heck they're doing, correct? So I want you to be the better agent. Go to training. But the flip side is, I don't want you to be what we call the perpetual student, where you just love going to class, because that's almost like you're networking with your colleagues and you guys hang out and you go to class, and if it's a lunch and learn, you're chatting during the middle of the class, or maybe you guys go to a class in the morning, then you go to lunch together, then you have your little glass of wine, and then poof, the day's gone. Training, what I mean by staying engaged is, our market changes freaking every day, every week. We've got these whole iBuyer models coming in. That's our competition now. So stay engaged, stay on top of trends, know what's going on, but go to training and take notes, and don't wait to master it. Number 4 says master. So what that does, I don't mean you go to class for the first 90 days of your business or 6 months, and you're afraid to get out there to do something because you're concerned that you don't have it all down yet. I don't want you doing that. Take notes. Pick 1 to 3 things from that class that you know that you can get a grasp on, and you can go implement that into your business. However, we do need to continually go to training. For example, our contracts here in the North Florida area, it gets updated about every 2 years. I have been licensed since 1996. I've been a realtor since 1999. So in other words, my license was inactive for 3 years till I made the jump. And I go take a contracts class about once every 2 years, because we get updates to it. And that's honestly, guys, most of the updates to our contract is because somebody has gotten sued. So they have to go change the language because they realized it was kind of ambiguous. So I want to stay on top of things, because God knows this is how I earn my living. I don't want to be that person. So continue to go to training throughout your career, but don't just be the full-time student and just sit there so that you never get your business going. Cool? Moving on. Tracking. This is where a lot of folks fail as well. How are you tracking your business? You need to do it early and often. So what do I mean by that? Do you know where your leads are coming from? Like I've already told you, I will have to, if I go and look at actually I have a spreadsheet of all the leads that I've gotten. Now, not all the leads that I've gotten have turned into prospects. For me, the way I define it is, a lead is when somebody says, hey, I've gotten 3 this week. A friend on social media that I know in real life sent me a private message this week. Hey, my sister-in-law is looking for a house in Jack's Beach. Can you help her? Duh, of course. That's a lead. So I asked permission to call her. He said, no, she'll call you. So I haven't been in touch with the person yet. That is not a prospect in my little pipeline yet because we haven't connected. That's a lead. Another person emailed me this or messaged me this week, private message, second private message saying, hey, if I send you somebody, can you send me a referral fee because he has his license? He's just not doing it. He's got a full-time job. That's a lead. I don't have that person's contact information yet. And then last evening, again, through private message, all three of these leads so far this week is another prospect that was given to me as a lead about a year ago, and now she's ready to do something. So you need to keep track of all of these. You need to have a system in place to keep track of the leads. And then we see, number one, your conversion ratio. So once I make contact with these people, am I going to convert them to a sale? So you need to know where the business originates, how many of the leads are being converted to real business for you, and on down the line. So you need to have a system for that. And I told you this was not going to be a sales pitch. All I'm going to tell you is I have a very simplified system called Core Center of Real Estate that tracks all this for you. So my contact information is at the end, and that's all I'll say on that. But you need to have some system. If it's an Excel spreadsheet, if it's a database system, you need to know where your leads are coming from and your conversion rate, because that'll help you determine if you really need to make 20 phone calls a day or 10 to get new business. Do you see where this is going? Moving on. We're about halfway through, guys, so hang in there. Treat it like a business. Listen, there are some of us who have a full-time job because we want to do real estate and we need our income right now. I have no issues with that. What I'm saying is whether you are an actual full-time agent diving in every day, 5 days a week, or you have a job and you're wanting to transition into real estate and make this your full-time job, are you treating it as a business or a hobby? So are your days haphazard? Are you following a routine? Are you time blocking like we talked about? Do you have a schedule? And who's holding you accountable to this? Are you doing activities every day that are creating new business? Because the purpose of you owning your own business, which we are all self-employed as realtors, what I tell people is your brokerage is the umbrella, your liability umbrella. Because God knows if you get sued, your broker does too. So it is what your business is up to what you do on a daily basis and consistently. And here's the frustrating part, as we all know. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme like HGTV tells us. It is not instantaneous. It's not instant gratification, which is what the world of the internet has taught us to be. It is slow and steady. So what you do today shows up in 90 days. So what do I mean by that? Let's say one of those leads that I've gotten calls me today. So today's day one of contact. Let's say it's a buyer. We all know you're supposed to meet with them, have a buyer consultation, set your expectations. Like I will tell them what my schedule's like, my availability. I'm going to ask them what they expect of me as their professional. We hash all that out. We determine best mode of communication. Personally, Christine Williams hates texting. Just you guys want to put that aside. However, that might be my customer's favorite way. I've got a seller right now texting as we talk. We've got a showing coming up soon. And texting is his thing. So you need to communicate the way they want to communicate. So you hash all that out. So I have my buyer consultation. Let's say I set that up Tuesday. We hash all these things out. Well, I'm not putting those folks in my car, or I'm not even scheduling an appointment on a vacant home until those peeps have been in front of a lender. So now I give them the lender names. So now they can't meet with the lender till next Friday. So we're already a week in. You guys get it? So then you start showing the homes, right? And in a lot of markets here in Florida, we're still in competing offer situations. So we write an offer 3 weeks from now. We don't win. We have to go back out and start all over. So 6 weeks in, we write an offer that, boom, sticks, goes to contract. So then we know from that point on, it's another 30 to 45 days to the closing table. So if I get a lead today, particularly with the buyer, I'm probably not going to close them for 90 days. So whatever you do today, you can expect 90 days out. So if today's, what is today, August 15th, guys? Correct me? August, yes. So technically that means whatever you do today should get you business for November. That's a little scary thought, you agree? So treat your business like a business, expectations, know your vision, all these things we're talking about. And then ask yourself down at the bottom, would you hire yourself to represent somebody's biggest transaction? Would you hire yourself? Oh gosh, you guys are quiet. Moving right along, guys. Associate with like-minded people. We've already kind of touched on this a little bit. Get to know people who are ambitious like yourself, who are driven, whatever your values are. Make sure that you seek those people out, whether it's through social media and you start following them, whether it's somebody in your office that you admire who's got the business model that you want, that kind of thing. And then in your personal life, we know there's two types, those that build you up and those that tear you down. So you need to associate yourself with folks both in your brokerage as well as in your personal life, as well as, like I said, your customers. You don't have to take every customer that comes to you. So I want you to think about that. So associate yourself with folks who are going to lift you up and support you and encourage you. So you might need to make some changes in your personal life. And if you go to a brokerage and you get in there and realize it's just not, the culture's not right or the energy's not right, you have every right to move, guys. You're self-employed. You need to align yourself with wherever you're going to be successful, wherever that is. So again, that goes for your brokerage if you're on a team, and that goes for the people that you work with, and then the people in your personal life. So another cool thing that you need to do that a lot of people fail to do, master listing presentations. This is a cool thing, guys. Rule of thumb is in any given month, you can manage 12 listings versus 8 buyers. It's simply because buyers are just more time consuming, that's all. So the goal to create a solid, continuous business is to focus on getting listings versus buyers. Now, I'm here to tell you though, some folks prefer working with buyers more, and if that's your business model and that's your love, then totally okay with that. Just realize that you will probably have less transactions than somebody that focuses on listings. It's simply a time management thing. But if you love buyers, then go for it. Create your business model to where buyers is your thing. We just say that if you can focus on listings also creates the leads, so you don't have to work as hard as at lead gen, right? The people with the listings are the ones getting the phone calls from Zillow and Realtor.com for free because you're the listing agent and that kind of thing. So that's why we say that. And then leverage. I think some folks are afraid so they say to get business because, oh my gosh, what if I start blowing this up and I get too busy and I can't handle everybody? Well, guys, there are ways to leverage your time. We have folks that do transaction management full time. You can hire a part-time assistant. So don't be afraid of success. Moving on. Scripts and objections, our favorite part, right? Not really. So let's just dive into it. I think that when we think of scripting, right, I think we probably think of telemarketers and, we're also getting bombarded with those. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I'm personally not a fan of scripting. They do sound canned. It sounds cold. It doesn't sound like your voice, right? However, I want to suggest early on in your career that you do find scripts. I have access to some through my coaching. Your brokers probably have some, whoever you're affiliated with, whatever. You can get them freaking on YouTube. So I need you to get scripting down and to find a script partner. I want you to memorize, because I think that this is a skill-based thing that will help folks get over the fear of not knowing what to say. So if you will just work through this nasty business of scripting and getting your listing presentations down, your objection handling, they want to cut your commission, right? Whatever, that's popular. Maybe your buyers want you to give them a rebate back. So figure out what the most common questions and objections you're going to get are and figure out how to handle them with ease. Practice with somebody, an accountability partner, a coach, a friend in the office, what have you, and get it down pat so that it rolls off your tongue easily. And then by all means, go and personalize it so it sounds authentic. It doesn't sound like the telemarketer. But scripting and objection handling practice has got to be part of your daily routine. Fun stuff, guys. Well, I know one of you is still there. So know your local market better than anyone. So let me tell you how this can happen here, at least in the Northeast Florida area. And I'm I would venture to say that every MLS system and association has these numbers on hand. If you'll go to NEFAR.com, whether you're part of this association or not, at least you can figure out how to find this. There is a tab that says markets. It says market statistics or market stats, NEFAR.com, NEFAR.com. And this is such a golden nugget. They have annual reports and they have monthly reports that come out. Well, today's the 15th, probably today. And it will show you, it's usually a 54, 55 page report. It'll give you the general stats for the market for the past month. So this would be July's numbers. Here we are mid-August. They had to accumulate it all together. Average days on market, average price, average number of homes that sold, percentage-wise, sold over list price. I love using that little nugget when I need to help a buyer write an offer. So you want to offer $30,000 off? Okay, well, 14% of the homes in our market sold over asking price last month. So are you sure that's the gamble that you want to take? So you can go get the statistics and study them so that, and heaven forbid, you're in the grocery store at Publix or something with your little name tag on and somebody goes, well, how's the market? So if you keep on top of the stats, and it just takes 2 seconds, guys. So get to know your market, spend some time every day going through your MLS or once a month taking 30 minutes, 45 minutes looking at your stats so that this stuff comes naturally to you when people ask. Then they'll start to trust you better because they'll know that you know your stuff. Anybody have any comments on that? Anybody good at that? So while we're here on this landing page, let me talk to you real quick. Do anybody know what like the absorption rate is, or like when it talks about the months of supplies of homes? Let's say it's like 3.5. It says that supply of homes is 3.5 months. What does that mean? And it took me many, many years to figure this out. What that means is, and this has nothing to do with new construction or for sale by owners, these are homes represented by a listing agent, so it's MLS stats. If the month of supply of homes is 3.5 months, if nobody else lists a home today, in 3.5 months, every single home currently listed in your MLS would be sold. So that's how you explain that. Turnover rates, that's, let's say you've got 200 homes in your neighborhood and 20 homes sold over the last 12 months. You divide 20 into 200 and that's your turnover rate for that community. So if you are going to farm, whether it's by door knocking or you do want to spend a little money on mail outs, again, your choice, then you're going to want a high turnover rate in your community. They say, I believe the number is 7%. I would recommend, a turnover rate of at least 10% or more. Why are you going to go focus on a neighborhood that only sold 3 homes in the past 12 months? You're wasting your money and your time. So know your market stats. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. Goals. Everybody loves this. So just a side note, if you're in the Jacksonville market, I am presenting a 3-hour presentation on this. October 10th in the Tamaya community. If you want information on that, you'll have to email me and I'll get you the registration link. And we're going to create your business plan for 2020. And you get free lunch. Well, lunch is included. There is a registration fee. And you get to tour Tamaya. But heads up, everybody needs to have goals and a plan. When you had your other job where you were salaried, or perhaps you still do, you kind of know what's expected of you when you show up every day, right? Well, how are you showing up in real estate if you don't have a plan? Right? And then realistic versus reasonable. Here's where a lot of people, they're a little timid. They're not sure what to expect. They're used to making their $35,000 or their $60,000 a year, and that's cool. But I think a lot of people get into real estate to make more income and a little more flexibility. Agreed? So set bigger goals than what you think you can do. I'm okay, and a lot of folks are out there, if you set your goals higher than what you think you can achieve. Because if you set average goals, you're going to achieve them by August. And then what are you going to do the rest of the year? What every other agent does, they're going to be planning their Christmas parties and their tailgate parties, and they're rolling for the last 4 months. And then January comes around like, oh, now I got a problem. So set your goals a little higher than you think you can attain, and that's okay. You can always adjust. You have to be committed to the process, guys. Real estate, like I said earlier, is not sexy. It can be boring. It can be repetitious. It can be mundane. It is not always a cool job to have, right? And you might have days where you really did make 20 real contacts. You had 20 freaking conversations with people and nothing materialized. And you get up the next day, you're like, oh my God, I'm not going through that again. Do it. Do it, guys. It's the consistency and the monotony and the repetition that gets you to where you want to be. So almost done here. Time blocking. Oh, nobody likes to do that. And this is one thing I get asked agents to help them with all the time. And I do see some questions coming up, guys. It's just me. So as I'm doing the presentation, I can't answer them while we're doing this. If we have some time at the end, we'll try to handle those. So please be patient. Time blocking. So if you say yes to something, does that mean that you're going to have to say no to something else? Is it really a time blocking issue or a priority management issue? I finally learned, and I will be honest with you, 21 years in the business, this year, to use my Google Calendar. I always have a paper calendar. I've converted over. Whatever your system is, that's cool. But you can't just get up tomorrow and go, I think Christine said in that webinar yesterday, I'm supposed to be calling 10 people today. Well, let me go run to the grocery store. Let me get the laundry started, and I'll do that later. You need to know what your day is ahead of time. So order of time blocking, what I call the non-negotiables. If you know you've got a cruise coming up during Christmas vacation, or you're taking the kids to Disney, that's non-negotiable, guys. Family time comes first. If you have soccer practice every Saturday morning, if you have dance recital every Thursday evening with the kids, that is non-negotiable. And even I'll go dial a little deeper in. If you've got parent pickup every freaking day at 2 o'clock, that's an hour out of your life every day that you cannot be at work, unless you have your call list ready and you're making your calls from the car while you're waiting in line. What about that? But the point is, they block out on your calendar the non-negotiables, the vacation time, the trips to grandma's house, the kids' events, and I'm going to take that dial in a little deeper. If you are in a relationship, whether you're married or domestic partnership or whatever your situation is, none of my business. But you need to make sure that you are carving out time with your significant person, right? So I want you to have a date night with that person every week. And I talked with another couple earlier this week during their coaching appointment, and they have kids, and and they're on a budget and everything. I said, I don't mean you have to go out and do an $80 dinner. What if you just meet for lunch, a 2-hour lunch where you guys put your phones away and you're looking at each other and having a conversation about anything other than work for 2 hours. So I want you to start there with your time blocking every month. And then the next, your other immovable non-negotiables, trainings. I've already told you how important trainings are. I have my broker's license. I have my instructor's license. I'm a certified coach. Who cares? I still have to learn stuff, guys. So I'm constantly getting all those, sponsored ads. Oh, get this free download and sign up for this webinar. I take those. I can learn from other people too. So I don't want you to rely also just on your broker for training. I hear some people say, well, he didn't teach me anything. Well, first of all, it was probably available on the office calendar and you just didn't bother to show up. So are you showing up for the trainings? Are you committed to doing them on your own as a self-employed person? And then don't rely just on your broker, him or her, for your trainings. We have the YouTube these days. That is the #1 place for people to learn things these days. Like I said, I take Facebook webinars. So your local association, FR, Florida Realtors, they have their convention next week. I just reserved my hotel room yesterday for that. So I'm going to spend a couple days in Orlando, not my favorite town, but I'm going to be learning. I'm going to Rebar on Tuesday, which is a class all day. It's little mini sessions all day from 8:30 to 5:30. So your trainings are non-negotiable items. That has to go on your calendar first. Then your predetermined appointment slots. So remember, the goal of lead generation in real estate is to freaking work with buyers and sellers. So go ahead, once those other things are in place, go ahead and block out time of 2, 3, 4 hours at a time when you're available to show homes or go on listing appointments. So remember, I went back to, we teach people how to treat us. So when that person calls, don't just say, oh yeah, I'll take it Thursday, knowing you're supposed to be doing your lead gen. Say, I'm available Thursday at 3 or Saturday at 10, which is better for you. And give them 2 choices of your slots where you have open availability, because you've already allotted those out as free time for appointments. And if neither of those works for them, then you can rearrange. And as much as we schedule things, we know, life doesn't happen as planned. This is just, again, your roadmap to help you focus and be structured and show up every day as a CEO. So you know what? Maybe you've got somebody coming in from Michigan just for the weekend and they're calling you this afternoon or tomorrow. Well, so you know what? All that weekend stuff just went out the door because they have to start their new job in a week. So they're going to put an offer in on a house this weekend. That happens, guys. We know this. The point is, if you have something like that, an urgent appointment, all I'm telling you is that doesn't mean your lead gen goes away for the week. That just means that you reschedule it in another time slot. So maybe you have an extra 3 hours one day next week of lead gen because you missed it tomorrow. So that's all I'm saying is what we say is if you erase, you must replace. And a little note, we're looking at the time blocking on the left still, lead gen versus lead follow-up. Don't sell yourself short. Lead gen is creating new business, seeking new business through those private messages, those texts, those calls to for sale by owners, whatever you do. Lead follow-up is nurturing those folks that have already been given to you that you need to, reach out to, maybe send them new listings, whatnot. So it's two different things. Don't cheat yourself and say, I made 10 contacts today because 8 of those people were people you're already working with. That's not creating new business. So lead generation time is different from lead follow-up time. And as we're talking about time management, have you guys heard of that saying, eat the frog? So do that thing that is maybe not the funnest thing, first thing, and just get it out of the way. I have a bad habit, so I'll admit, I love to, handle all the little things. Maybe I've got 8 emails to respond to real quick, and I know that's 8 things sitting on my shoulders. I just need to get them done. It'll take me 30 minutes, poof. That's actually the wrong way to do things. Put that stuff aside. It can wait. Do your lead generation first. Eat the frog, the thing you don't want to do first. And by the way, make your bed every morning. There's a whole book about that, so we'll leave that for another day. About done. Thanks for hanging in, guys. Live in abundance, not scarcity. So what do I mean by this? Are you living out of fear or faith? Because the one thing that my coach taught me about this is both are just believing in something that you can't see. So you were given, if your vision is to have a successful real estate career, guys, you can do it. If you didn't already have that vision, it wouldn't happen for you. The fact that you have the vision, this is what you want to do, that means you have the equipment to succeed. Maybe you just need somebody to do something like this and kind of say, hey, these are the things that you weren't taught. These are the things that me or a mentor or somebody else can help you with. Somebody wants you to succeed. You have to want it for yourself, but just know that because you're already here and committed to doing something like this, you have what it takes to be successful in real estate. You just need to put the systems in place. And again, we've already talked about real estate is frustrating. It can be boring. We deal with crazy agents on the other side. So it's a wild ride, guys. It's a wild ride. But mindset matters. So no matter what's going on, we cannot blame your broker for not giving you leads because that's not where leads come from. You can't blame the other agent for the fail on the transaction. You have to take responsibility for your successes and your setbacks. Whether you have a coach or an accountability partner or a broker that's just your favorite cheerleader, it's you. It's all up to you. Mindset matters. So that is the one fundamental piece that separates agents from succeeding versus those that leave in the first 2 years. So you got to hang in there and just take the leap. Moving on. Oh, nice eyeball there. Your vision. And we don't have to hang in on this because we've already talked about your MVVP, right? Your mission, your values, your visions, your beliefs, and your perspectives. So I just kind of want to drive this point home again. So it's not just about, okay, how am I going to pay the bills next month? You need to have an annual plan. I create a monthly plan, but you need to look further out than that. Why are you in real estate? Are you doing it just to see if you can do it? Or is this the lifestyle that you want? Because the whole purpose of being self-employed and being the owner of your own real estate company is, they say to fund your perfect life. I don't believe there's anything perfect in life, so I say your ideal life. You're doing this because you're not where you want to be in life and you want to get there, and real estate is the vehicle to do so. So you have to know where you are right now and where you want to be, and then all these systems that we've talked about today are going to help you get there. So you have to be able to know where it is you want to be, and then what we call chunk it down to the daily, mundane, boring things to help you get there. And then last but not least, guys, I knew this would take about an hour. Know your big why. And I have a worksheet on this. If you guys want it, just email me after. I'll give you my contact info. This goes back to, again, kind of looking at your big picture. Why do you get up in the mornings? Why did you decide to get your real estate license? Because, again, I own a real estate school, and I'm here to tell you, I know whether you took the course online or you sat in the classroom, by the time you pay your dues and you're here because you're a licensed realtor, you've got $2,000 out the door before you ever made a penny in real estate. Why in the world did you do that? So think about it. What gets you out of bed when you are having a bad day and your 3 contracts just fell through and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this? Why do you get up tomorrow and do it again anyway? Your big why has to make you cry. And as a coach, I can promise you, I have made people hug me and I've made people cry. And it's not because I was being rude to them. It's because you need to look inside yourself and ask yourself the hard questions and really dive in deep, peel back the layers and not look at the surface stuff of who you are. What is your real reason? It's not just to help people and make their dreams come true, guys. What is it about real estate that drives you? What satisfies you when you get to the closing table? It needs to be big. And so once you figure out why you're doing it, the how is where an accountability partner can help you out with that. So number 5, who else sacrifices? So it's not just about you. So one thing a lot of folks do is they get the family involved in the kids, and the example used a lot is they tell the kids, let's say the 4-year-old daughter, hey, hon, if daddy makes all of his goals and I sell 24 homes this year, we're taking a week-long Disney cruise for Christmas break. How does that sound? And you get that 4-year-old on board. So what happens when November 30th comes around and it's time to book the cruise and daddy's only had 8 sales this year? Who else are you letting down? So you need to get your family involved or your accountability partner or whomever, but it's not just about you. You are funding your life to help others as well. And number 6, you can keep reassessing this. Maybe your why changes throughout time. And as you're working with folks, just remember that logic makes people think and emotion makes people act. So as you're having your buyer consultations and you're connecting with people on social media, it's not just that static post, hey, I'm a licensed realtor, call me. It's having an emotional connection. So are you in it to win? There's some people in the background. So figure out why you have left the safety of your salary job and why you got into real estate or why you want to. And again, if you guys want that worksheet, I can help you with that. So I'm probably going to have a scratchy throat from all this. Are there any questions? You guys can welcome to unmute yourselves now because we are wrapping it up. If you need my email address, it's down at the bottom. Anybody let's see. Let me see if I can get in. I'll stop sharing, see if I can get some of these questions real quick. Oh, somebody couldn't hear any audio, so I'll send that out. Let's see. Somebody said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, somebody said in Japan, IKIGAE means what gets you up in the morning. That's cool, thanks. So anybody have any questions? If not, I am thrilled, guys. This was so exciting to me. We had we had tons of people on here actually that you guys were engaged in this. I hope it helped. If you have questions and you just don't want to put them on here and speak up, in front of the group, I'm totally okay with that. I will, if you want to email me, my email address is on there again. Let me see if I can share it one time for you. Anybody have anything to say?
Hey, Christine. Aggie here. I'm from Gainesville, Florida. How are you?
I'm sorry, you're from where?
Gainesville, Florida.
Hi. So are you in my, I'm not promoting our brokerage. Are you with my brokerage?
I am not, unfortunately.
No worries. I'm stoked. I just wanted to help people. So yes, hi Aggie, what can I do for you?
So I want to try one of my goals. I'm brand new to this. I've been in the business a whole 4 weeks.
Congratulations.
So I think that I've been thinking a lot about my business plan and where I want to focus, and I want to start to focus on getting listings. I think that I'd be good at it.
Okay.
I'm a little shy, but once I get going, I can talk up a storm.
Okay.
So the problem I'm having is it's a logistical problem. I'm relatively new to Gainesville. I've only been here 2 months.
Okay.
And it's my hometown. I'm planning to stay here for a few years. How would you suggest I begin? Just point me in the direction. What should I focus on? I'm an A-type person. What is on my desk has to be completed by 5 o'clock or before bedtime at least. So I'm a go-getter. I'm not lazy. I'm very, very focused. But I just, with relations to listings, I just don't know where to start.
And you said it was your hometown though when you moved back?
No. This
No,
is my
okay.
new hometown.
Your
I'm
new
originally
hometown.
from New York City.
Okay. Yeah, I know. So you're one of our transplants, right? That
Yes,
happens a
ma'am.
lot. All right. Welcome. Welcome to the Sunshine State. We have some good and bad. So, and you know, listings is a whole nother course. And it depends. Like I said, I don't recommend early on. I want people to stay on a budget. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not an economist. I freaking have a degree in psychology. So what the heck do I know, right? But I've just been doing this long enough. I've seen the economic cycles. An election year, you guys, if you just started this year, you're going to have a wake-up call. If you were coasting this year and you did well and you're like, this is cool, I got this, you don't have it. Next year's going to be different. So that's why this is a perfect time for us to talk about stuff like this. But back to listings in particular, maybe since you don't know a lot of people and you are an A personality and you're comfortable talking to people, maybe it's as simple as networking events.
Okay.
Some people, I'm not good on the phones. I'm telling you guys this. I know my strengths and my weaknesses, and I know what I like and don't like by now. I can, as much as I see it for sale by owner sign, and I take pictures, guys, and I go back, I'm like, I'm going to call them, and I don't. Then 2 days later, I see a competitor sign, and I'm like, oh, see, I should have called them. But that, it makes me so uncomfortable. That's not my personal gig. I create the relationships. I don't sell to strangers. I'm not good at sales. I'm good at the rapport, the love, trust, know. And people respect me for that. I create one-on-one relationships. That's where my business comes from. So you're going to have to create new relationships.
Okay.
So networking.
I might just see you at the conference next week.
Awesome. I signed up for Rebar for the Tuesday before. Are you going to do that?
I believe I am signed up for that. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to make a note. We'll get in touch after this. So you can find networking events, guys, for anybody else who's interested, Facebook events. And I don't know if you guys realize, I don't know if you can do it from your phone, but from a computer, it'll be on the the right-hand side. You can search events, not just by date, but by category. So it'll say, I think it says networking. It might say networking or business, what have you, but you can find networking events in your area. And my recommendation too, while we're talking about this, guys, I also tell people when you're new, on the one hand, I joke about we can all do the free lunch program. We can go to a broker lunch every day, right? Or somebody's hosting a lunch and learn or whatnot. And so we go and socialize with our peers or our colleagues. Don't do that. You do want good relationships with your colleagues because that'll make the transaction smoother. And I'm very transparent. I'll be honest with you. I had a competing offer situation on a listing last year. And there were two that the offers were, I swear to God, almost identical. But I knew one agent and I didn't know the other. And I'd already worked with them and I already knew how professional they were. And that's how I sold it to my seller. It was his choice, but I said, listen, you know, these are apples to apples. The difference is I know Betty Sue over here. And so I already know that, you know, it'll be an easy process for you. So you do want to get to know your folks. However, don't spend all of your time socializing and networking at all the association events, all the broker open houses. But I tell you want to support your colleagues. However, that can be a full-time job, socializing with your peers. So my recommendation is all of your socializing needs to be, just like it is on social media, needs to be in front of people that are going to be they're going to bring you money, really. And that's not being selfish. That's creating a good business plan. So you can find them on Facebook events, eventbrite.com. You can put them in by category that way too. And then if you guys aren't familiar with this, and I always joke, it's not a dating site. I'm not on dating sites, but meetup.com has every freaking category of anything you've ever wanted in your life, from quilting to paddleboarding to I love dogs to chess to multiple types of business networking events. So those are 3 sources right there where you can get in front of other networking groups. And most of them are, you know, they might be free or maybe a nominal ticket of 10 or 15 bucks or something. And so that's one way. If you don't want to cold call. And then, Aggie, I don't know how you feel about this, but one thing that a lot of folks have gotten back to the basics this year, a lot of the agents that I was a full-time coach last year for a particular big franchise that we all know of, so name is unimportant. And so my full-time job last year was helping agents as a coach, not really in production. And what I encourage people to do that are comfortable doing it is door knocking. It sounds crazy. We think of like Amway or selling the Kirby vacuum cleaners or whatever, but it works. Again, it's the face-to-face. So, and as a single female, I am, if any of you out there are uncomfortable, then take a partner. Buddy up with a real estate partner in your office and you guys share the leads for the neighborhood, or take a mortgage person with you. They want to get in front of people too. But door knocking, the pop buys, I have a lot of real estate friends that do the pop buys, like I mentioned earlier. Now, you don't know anybody yet. So as long as you're not violating any solicitation rules in your neighborhood, guys, and I'm telling you, Little Miss, been doing real estate for a while in a neighborhood I was in a couple years ago. I put what I thought were nice little pop buy packages with a newsletter and a little gift in little bags. And if they weren't home, I just left them on the porch. And you've always got that geezer in every neighborhood, the old retired guy that has nothing better to do than act crazy. So I got reported to the HOA for soliciting, although I wasn't selling stuff. So be careful that you don't violate any rules. But if you want to do pop buys and literally knock on the door, I've had real estate friends say, oh my God, that, people let them in. Be careful for safety, guys. But just the face-to-face, we're all missing that with social media these days. People want that human connection again. Any other questions? Does that help? I'm sorry. Okay.
It does. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, guys, my heart is filled. So there were so many of you on here, and there were tons of others that signed up that I see one or two people didn't have audio. So hopefully it recorded properly, and I'll email that out to everybody. Oh gosh, while we were on here, guys, 10 extra people tried to sign up after we'd already started. Oh my goodness. So you guys are lucky you got on. But thanks again for your time. I hope it helped. If you want any clarification on anything, my contact's at the bottom. And go forth and prosper, guys. I appreciate it.
Take care, Christine. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.